It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Doom Nation, what's up? We are back, and we are in the captain's quarters.
You almost had the shack in the back.
Yeah, I know. We've been back there a lot lately. And as always, it's Skaggs and the Captain, and you're listening to the Two Doom Men podcast. Thank you guys for joining us again. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. The subscribe button is right at the bottom over there.
That way.
There we go.
That
It's
way.
over here, right around here.
Yeah.
So make sure you hit that button. Fauci has stated that if you subscribe, you are 30% less likely to come in contact with fake news. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Welcome back, everybody. Let's tell them what we're talking about today.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to share a little personal story first.
He finally has something to rant about, and I can't wait.
We'll get into it, but we got a personal story, and then we're going to definitely talk a lot about our good friend, Dr. Fauci, and we're going to get into some of the news regarding him and also some of the news regarding the lab leak theory, which we kind of a little bit talked about in gas holes with unfit statesmen, but there's been a little bit new developments coming out on that. And those are really the two main topics. Plus, we're going to talk about Project Veritas and some of the news they've made lately, and if there's anything else you want to add.
No, that was pretty much what I was pretty much going in on Project Veritas. So, so finally, Mr. Skaggs next to me wants to get on here and rant, and I don't blame him because I'm still scorned. Same situation as him, but take it away.
It's not gonna be this angry rant as it was, but boy, on Friday, was it Friday?
Yes.
I was pretty angry. I was seeing red, and I was ready to take my charm here, Yankee charm, and throw it out the window.
Yep.
Long story short, me and the captain here, we had bought tickets to the Yankee game that was supposed to be this past Saturday, and they got canceled.
Yeah.
And we didn't find out until Friday. So right off the bat, we were livid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll bring up here the notice the Yankees gave us. It says, "Dear Yankees fan, we're sending this message on behalf of the New York Yankees. Thank you for your purchase of tickets. To begin the season, attendance for select games will be limited to approximately 20% of the capacity of Yankee Stadium. Currently, the limited capacity games will be the first 33 games, blah, 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 blah. Because you purchased tickets to a game that is now designated as a limited capacity game, your previously purchased tickets for this limited capacity game are no longer valid. However, you receive an email, blah, 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 they'll give you your money back. And that's really it. And so they basically, they give the money back.
Yeah.
Right, which is great. I know if they took the money, that'd be even worse. But I was really angry at first because it's kind of our fault at the same time.
Yes.
Right, because our dummy friend didn't check his emails and find out that this policy went into effect on May 10th. Right, and Yankee Stadium put in this policy apparently in effect that. And it has to definitely do with the vaccinated seats and the not vaccinated seats.
The segregation.
Yeah. Anybody who bought seats before, you're basically SOL now.
Yeah.
And it's really bullshit, right? Because we bought these tickets on February 12th.
Yep.
So now, I know that was a long time ago and things are up in the air, but we bought seats February 12th. I don't give a fuck about whatever Emperor Cuomo says about the capacity seats and whatnot, and I get it, like, only a certain amount of people allowed to be in Yankee Stadium. We bought the fucking seats on February 12th.
We're part of that 20% limited capacity.
That's the way I'm looking at it now, right?
Nobody
and I know there's
bought
like
it
some
earlier than
seats
us.
we're not vaccinated, right? And some seats are for vaccinated people, and some seats are not. And this doesn't even reference that. Like, the notice does not even reference anything to do with vaccinating. All it says is the seating capacity, and because of the seating capacity, you bought tickets before we had to make changes in the rules, and we threw out your tickets. It's bullshit. For just a customer service perspective, you know, is it our fault we didn't check the email earlier? Yeah. It was really our fault? No, it's our dumb friend's fault. But how could we have not gotten those seats?
Yeah.
We bought them in February. We were looking forward to this for months, and then the rug gets pulled out from underneath you.
We bought these tickets when they became available.
Like the first day.
So as far as I'm concerned, we are the 20% of that limited capacity.
Yeah. It's actually 33% now.
Yeah. And
even this doesn't even make sense because I looked it up and it's 33% now.
Yeah.
On the Yankees website. They sent the notice 20%, but go ahead.
And also, the weird thing is there was still tickets for sale.
Right.
So
yes, that is true. For this specific game, we could have bought tickets, which another crazy thing was, I believe if you wanted to buy seats in the vaccinated section, like similar seat, it was $45, but if you wanted to pay and you were not vaccinated, it was like $85.
Yeah,
I'm sure it varies based on seats, but there was definitely a price discrepancy. But in the tickets,
and that's the end of the Yankees for me because I will not be dealing with any type of segregation. I was going there to enjoy the game, but I was also very interested to see how they treated the unvaccinated section compared to the vaccinated section. You know, whether if like they had like all the good food and we had just like one place open, or if they had all the good seats. I don't know. I certainly wanted to look, but the price tells me everything I need to know. Segregation was wrong back when, you know, everybody was dealing with it in the 50s, 60s, and
way before that, but
yeah, and even before
after
then.
Civil War.
But you know, with the segregated schools and stuff like that, there's no point in doing this now. Not based on your medical records. That's absurd. Completely absurd.
It is absurd. And this whole thing was just so dumb. Just like I said, from even just a customer service standpoint, like you said, we should have been in that 20% or that 33%. We bought the tickets a long time ago, and there were still tickets for sale. This pissed me off, not only because of like the whole environment and how tired me and you are of these COVID restrictions and all this nonsense, but like I was just excited to go to a baseball game and like a live sporting event. I like the Yankees. I like sports. You know, it's like a normal part of being an American, and you go there, we're going to socialize, go to stands with other human beings, go to stands and drink, you know, banquet beers, and everything was going to be great. And the rug got pulled from under us, and like I was just so angry and stressed because it was just like, you know, like
it just keeps
one thing after another. It was like almost like a breaking point. But now I'm a little bit more calm. One other point I wanted to make, which made me laugh, is because this past week, the Knicks are in the playoffs, and I've been seeing pictures of MSG full. Yeah. Basically full, right? So, and at the same time, I'm seeing pictures of Yankee Stadium with like huge spaces in between the fans, right? Madison Square Garden is indoors. Yankee Stadium is outdoors. And the Knicks, who are now in the playoffs, they are allowed to, by decree of Emperor Cuomo, they're allowed to have 63% capacity of Madison Square Garden. That's 15,000 people, right? And like I said, that's indoors.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I wrote here, LOL. That's the highest seating percentage in the NBA allowed. Yeah. The Knicks, right? New York. Yeah. So, I mean, everything is just so contradictory.
It sounds like they're almost trying to create a super spreader event, if you ask me, because the CDC proved that COVID doesn't do too well outside. That's something you won't hear in the media because they don't want you to listen to the CDC anymore. But on top of that, where were we with that? Oh, yeah, Dave Portnoy. We posted it on our Instagram story. There is no one on this planet that can tell me why some stadiums are full, some stadiums are empty, why you could do some things in one state and not the other state. Everything needs to go back to normal right now. Yes. Because my mother made the example because on May 19th, Connecticut and New York dropped the mask mandate for vaccinated people. And she was out and about on the 18th. She was talking to people and they were talking about this, and she's like, what is the difference from today till tomorrow? Right. There's none. There's no more.
That's my last point here. It's like, what changed over the past 2 or 3 weeks? Nothing besides the mandates themselves changed. The same point that your mother was making, I heard Dave Smith make it. He was in a comedy club and late at night, and it was the night before the mandates changed, and one of the employees of the comedy club didn't know who he was and was like, sir, you got to put your mask on. And Dave was like, but like it's 11 p.m. So I really like. Is anything going to change from now till 1 or midnight? We're living in a fantasy world where, because the government said so, which they don't even have the right to say so. Like people just do it, and there's no critical thought whatsoever. But nothing did change from 1 hour to the next.
No, it's I forget where I heard it on, but it was a funny point. They're like, we're basically at the point now that the government is so make believe that they want us to play pretend with them. Like it doesn't matter. This is just one big scary game of pretend and imagination land. Because just like when we were in the bars back last summer in Montauk, where the bouncers would scream at you if you stood up, to go to the bathroom. We literally had a bouncer tell one friend, sit back down. He goes, no, I'm leaving. He goes, no, you're not leaving.
Yeah. We were pretty irate. We were like, okay, well, we're going to sue. I think we said we're going to sue you. You can't keep us in a bar against our will. What are you doing?
So by me leaving now, we're going to spread more COVID. It doesn't matter that you have 35 people at every table out here. It matters that I'm standing right.
It's a power trip. People get little rules, and then they get authority. They get a power trip.
Honestly, it's never been about your health. It's always been about control from the start. And just you could see it the second the CDC announced the drop in the mask mandate. Left-wing media was, I think it's time we stop listening to the CDC.
Some weren't. Some were,
but there were some, and that's what really Project Mockingbird. Everybody says the same exact thing, and now nobody's saying the same exact thing. I find it so suspicious that you had to listen to the CDC when they were taking away your rights and locking you down and restricting you, but the second they want to give you freedom, wait a minute, no, I don't think we're going to listen to that anymore.
The libertarian in me says they don't have the authority to do either. Who are they? They're not elected officials. They're not anything. It doesn't say in the Constitution that they could just take our rights away because there's a germ that's going to infect and possibly kill people.
Yes.
So there's that aspect of it. Another point I wanted to make here is something I've been hearing lately. It's like we got to stay vigilant right now of the vaccine passport because we already had the first battle, which we won. Not us specifically, but like the people, the people who are in for freedom here, won the first battle, and Biden, etc., backed off. But like, we have to be vigilant of the vaccine passport now because they're going to use this angle of, well, we don't really know who's vaccinated and who's not, and we lifted the mandates for vaccinated people to wear masks. So now maybe it's a good idea if you have papers that tell who's who, because otherwise we're going to be going on the trust system here. If me personally, right, if I hear one thing like that about paperwork to prove because there's trust issues, etc., we got to have another campaign again against this vaccine passport shit, because they're going to give it, if they're going to do this is the chance, because like as things fade away now, you know what I mean, like as people get vaccinated, as people go back to normal, and you're like, you know what, the hell with it, they're going to lose their chance to implement this.
I wholeheartedly want to tell everybody who is in a state that has dropped the mask mandates, enjoy your summer, because I could promise you they are counting down the days till they get to take this away from us. It's going to work too perfectly in their hands. First and foremost, Biden has gone on several times, and even Jen Psaki has said this administration is not going to enforce COVID vaccine passports. That doesn't mean they won't change their mind, okay? We've seen the goalpost get pushed every time it's benefited them. So don't trust the administration that they won't change their mind. Secondly, corporations are working lockstep with, this whole scheme. So eventually they're not going to say, oh, well, we can't stop Starbucks from saying, show me your papers. You just don't need to go to Starbucks anymore. And this is where I said, the war on the mom and pop shops really was the whole reason for, because the mom and pop shops like Pete's Saloon, they're not going to ask us for our papers. Right. But if you want to go to Target or Walmart or Fridays or some big chain or McDonald's, show me your papers. Right. Which one's hurting? McDonald's never shut down. Pete's Saloon had to shut down. Right. So this is where, the people who got to stay open and who didn't suffer are the ones happy to show you the passport. And now we're on the honor system. I've been to the gym. I've been to the grocery store. You see maybe one person not wearing a mask. The gym's a little bit different. It's, like a maybe a 40-60 split or so of people wearing masks. And it's weird because I don't get the feeling that people are afraid. I'm kind of still picking up the feeling that like a lot of people aren't vaccinated. You know what I mean? So, which is interesting in its own right. I know there's still plenty of people who are vaccinated and just need to wear the mask because they have no other need than to inconvenience themselves.
Let's also be real here. A gym mostly are healthy people.
Yeah.
Or people that are trying to get more healthy.
Yep.
This is not like, like a ward for COVID patients or something like that. Could there be one in there? Sure.
Yeah.
But most likely it's
not
very
a homeless
strong
shelter.
people.
Yeah.
Like they're not at very high risk to begin with.
Yeah. And so the next spike we see, it's going to be, oh, well, we can't trust the honor system anymore. We don't know who's who. We don't know who's who. And already, Fauci already said, well, the idea of vaccine passports seems like it would work. They've already implemented, I already caught him implementing this idea into the mainstream media. And like enjoy your summer. They're counting down the days. We keep these receipts, people. So when we get to tell everyone we told you so, we will bring this exact clip back up. They're counting down the days before they could reverse these mandates. And Biden even said it. Oh, if a state's numbers don't go up and people aren't getting vaccinated, that state might get more restrictions.
Yeah,
It's been a whole big mafia move the entire time. This administration's basically pushing this like the mafia would onto us.
They've lost all credibility.
No,
dude. The person who's lost the most credibility, in my opinion, is Dr. Fauci.
Oh, yes.
Not only has Dr. Fauci lost, he had zero credibility, almost zero.
On this show, yeah.
On this show, he had no credibility, right? But and he lost it from the beginning because he flip-flopped on the mask issue. But now he's willing. We'll get into the meat and potatoes here. He's willing now to look into the lab leak theory, which, like I said, on gas holes, Statesman went into detail over the lab leak theory, which is basically saying that there's a theory out there that is now picking up traction in the mainstream media that the virus escaped the lab in Wuhan. Everybody knows about it, and I got to explain it to you, right?
The China virus.
So, Anthony Fauci, this is from The Hill, Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and blah, blah, blah. He is supporting an open investigation of the coronavirus origins, saying earlier this month that he's not convinced it developed naturally. When asked about whether the virus originated naturally, Fauci said he wants to look closer into the matter. I'm not convinced about that. I think we should continue to investigate what went on in China until we continue to find out to the best of our ability what happened. Dr. Fauci sounds like he could have been on Two Doomed Men over the course of the year.
He might have picked up a few of that from us.
So, good. I'm glad Dr. Fauci finally is now willing to look into it, right? Disclaimer.
Yeah.
If we
look into it.
How many people, for questioning this, for thinking this way over the course of the past year, got banned on Facebook, demonetized? We're lucky this show is small. We don't have like a scrutiny magnifying glass on us yet from YouTube, so they didn't care about anything we said. But there's so many instances of you can't say this, you can't say that. Well, what? Turns out we were right.
Yeah. It's the perfect example as to why social media shouldn't be telling us what is and isn't misinformation.
Fact checking is bullshit.
Yes.
Or the debunkers. Yeah. We're rebunking this now, right? Because it was wrong. They're debunking. Their fact checking was wrong. How could that be?
Isn't it funny that the fact checkers were so spot on accurate during the Trump administration, but now during the Biden administration we could backtrack a little bit. It's just like all the states and cities that are refunding the police. It's perfectly fine to defund the police during Trump's administration, but now we need to get back on track. We can't live like this. Big tech really has caused this type of an issue, censoring us and and also trampling our First Amendment rights. So Prince Harry, which dummy from the other side? Yeah. See, Prince Harry, here's a good example, you idiot, of why the First Amendment is so important. Bonkers. Okay, pal.
The First Amendment is so great that it allows a British royal who we beat in our Revolutionary War to come over here and say, wow, your First Amendment's crazy. Yeah, the First Amendment allows you to say that. Yeah. And I'm not, I could criticize you for saying that, but I'm not criticizing your right to say that. You have a right to say that if you want. That's the First Amendment.
But it's just crazy how everything we were told for a year whether they knew it or not. Just now we're backtracking. You know what I mean? And it's
they're backpedaling, tripping over themselves.
And a part of me, you call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care about this point because anything to me, Fauci is just as bad as Bill Gates. And all these mask mandates got lifted a week after Rand Paul questioned Fauci about the NIH giving money to the Wuhan lab, and Fauci saying, no, I never did that. No, you just gave it to the Eco CEO guy, and he gave it to the Wuhan lab. And now all of a sudden the mask
I've listened to a lot about that, and that's his defense. He's saying, well, no, we didn't give it to them. We gave it to another organization, which then gave it to them.
Whatever.
And that's like if somebody gave you money and you went and bought drugs with it, and they could be like, well, I didn't give him the money for drugs, but he went and bought drugs. Well, you still gave him the money, like it's lost in translation. You still funded.
You mean to tell me that Fauci and the NIH didn't do any research into what this company was going to spend the money on?
We're not talking about
bullshit
individuals here. We're talking about major
So
corporations, organizations.
So somewhere along the line, everyone who had the power to transfer money and funds and have grants go out from the NIH did research on the Eco What is the full name of it?
Remember.
It's Eco something. They knew it was going to Wuhan. They knew it was going to gain a function study. They knew it was going into, I'll say it, a bioweapon. I think that's fine. If you don't think it is, it's fine. But I think Fauci is now on this side and flip-flopping once again because he's just looking to cover his ass even further. The one thing I said to myself earlier when I started seeing certain things unravel with the whole COVID theory and stuff and everything that's flipped, it wouldn't – we never said not to get the vaccine. We have our own ideas and feelings on the vaccine and how to handle and treat COVID and what should go back to normal and stuff like that. But I'll tell you something. Things wouldn't be this muddled if we were told the truth from the start. If there was no lying, if there was no BSing, whether it was a bioweapon from China or whether it was an actual bat soup virus, if either A, the story stayed the same, or we were just told the truth from the beginning, none of this would have needed to happen. None of it.
You know what the problem with that is? The problem with that is Fauci. Yeah. He's a TV doctor. He's like your government propaganda, figurehead guy. Yeah. And he keeps, something happens, and I heard Tim Pool talking about this. Something happens, comes out in the news, and then he comes out 2 or 3 days later and says something in relation to that. What is he doing? He's changed his position so many times. And I'm going to play a clip in a little bit of him basically debating himself. And then also, again, I'll go back to Tim Pool real quick. I was listening to Tim Pool's podcast, and he documented at least 4 times since January that Fauci has flip-flopped on whether we should wear 2 masks or not.
That's
since
once a month.
January.
That's
right.
once a month.
All he does is change his position. And, yes, science changes and whatnot, but you cannot be in that position and everything you tell everybody is either, we can't now trust you because you might change what you say in another week, or maybe it's just straight out wrong, or you have some sort of weird dealings with the thing. I'm going to say it flat out right now. He deserves to lose his job.
He
100% deserves to lose his job.
Someone else needs to lose his freedom.
And I'm not going to go that far, but he deserves to lose his job because he made so many mistakes. And in life, when you make mistakes, especially in terms of work, this is his job, right? And who's footing the bill? John Q. Taxpayer right here is paying Dr. Fauci his salary.
Yep.
Right.
The highest paid
federal employee there exists. When you make that many big mistakes, you lose your job. I'm sorry, Dr. Fauci, but you deserve to lose your job. That's simple as that.
And he's been in this position for so long that when there was the AIDS epidemic in America, guess who was the doctor at the forefront of that?
Yeah, that was him.
This idiot.
Right.
And look how great that turned out for everyone back then.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
He doesn't even have a good track record on these big issues.
He's connected.
Oh, yeah.
He's TV doctor, propagandist, and he's connected.
He's the establishment doctor.
Let's play this video. This is going to be a mashup of a recent interview that Dr. Fauci gave where he's talking about the new lifting of the restrictions on the masks and what he's thinking, and a old video of him going back and forth with Rand Paul. So This is going to basically be Dr. Fauci debating himself. So give me a second here.
Before the CDC made the recommendation change, I didn't want to look like I was giving mixed signals. But being a fully vaccinated person, the chances of my getting infected in an indoor setting is extremely low. And that's the reason why in indoor settings now, I feel comfortable about not wearing a mask.
You're telling everybody to wear a mask, whether they've had an infection or a vaccine. What I'm saying is they have immunity, and everybody agrees they have immunity. What studies do you have that people that have had the vaccine or have had the infection are spreading the infection? If we're not spreading the infection, isn't it just theater?
No, it's
not.
not.
The vaccine and you're wearing 2 masks. Isn't that theater?
No, that's not. Here we go again with the theater. Let's get down to the facts.
I didn't want to look like I was giving mixed signals. But being a fully vaccinated person, the chances of my getting infected in an indoor setting is extremely low. And that's the reason why in indoor settings now, I feel comfortable about not wearing a mask.
All right. So, if you just watch that clip of Dr. Fauci, what he's saying, the whole point is, when Rand Paul was pressing him on the wearing 2 masks, saying you're just doing this for theater because there's really no studies showing that, wearing 2 masks does anything. And he's saying, no, it's not theater. Here we go again with the theater, blah, 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 blah. And then that was in March, and now we have him the other day in May, and he's saying, well, I didn't want to look like I was sending out mixed signals, but I do feel comfortable not wearing a mask now. What does that mean? That means he's telling you what he was doing before was theater.
And you know what it also tells me that he's known since March that vaccinated people didn't need to wear masks. He's telling us It's not like he was shocked and surprised by the CDC lifting the mask mandates. It's not like he's working lockstep with the CDC in any means necessary, because he is. And Rand Paul asked him, what research do you have to say that people still need to wear masks? He said he doesn't have, well, I don't know word for word what he said, but basically he said, I don't have any. But his
argument was, there's variants, and the variants, the vaccine and the variant, and you should still wear a mask because the variants will come, and we don't know how the vaccine is going to work for variants. That's what he said. We were going to at this point in time, I don't know if you remember, we were going to do our episode with The Last Slice.
Yes.
With at Trill's place in Jersey, and we were listening to this whole back and forth, and we were sitting there like, what? So at the time, that argument was telling me that forever we'll have to be masked.
Yep.
Because there'll always be a threat of a variant or whatever. There's always an inherent threat, and that made no sense to me. But now that argument that he was making before no longer holds water.
Yeah.
Because now he's saying, oh, no, we don't need to wear masks anymore. He's not now using the variant explanation anymore. Yeah. That has gone out the window.
Which it is mind-boggling to me. Because first and foremost, I don't know if you've heard or seen a lot on social media. So you know how there's that big, scary variant from India that's killing everyone in India? And everyone in India is like, no, there's no... I keep seeing all these videos. I don't know how real they are, but I keep seeing a lot of videos of like
nothing's going
people
on.
like in India, like, this is a regular market. Everything's back to normal. Like, so that's one thing I bring up, like how severe and how real are these variants. But the fact of the matter is, they've been sandbagging us to get back to normal. They've known, we've known. Why do you still trust this? And my favorite part of all of this, because there's a specific someone in my life that I've been arguing with back and forth, I won't say who, about what, they're vaccinated and I'm not. And I just try to bring up to them, like, all I'm asking you to do is, like, think for yourself. Like, you took an experimental drug. I'm not saying it's experimental. Look it up. It's experimental. This is for emergency use only. But they're also the same people that will be like, Fauci told me to wear 2 masks, then they wear 2 masks. But now that Fauci is like, oh, I've known, I didn't want to misguide anyone. You could show them this video and they'll still be like, no, I need a mask. I don't care what Fauci says anymore.
Not even that. They'll look to this cognitive dissonance, right? People will look to like validated or something, or they'll be like, oh, he was looking out for everybody, or
but
whatever.
they don't want to listen to him now, which is even crazier.
Not everybody, though.
I
Yes,
get
There's
it,
your
but
David Hoggs.
Yeah.
Which David Hoggs not even doing it for any scientific purpose.
No.
He's doing it for more tribalist purposes. But yes, you're right. There are the people that are still just, terrified. And you know what? At some point, I kind of get it. I kind of get it because for a whole year, the government has, traumatized everybody. And the media and the COVID death tracker thing has traumatized everybody, right? So, yes, there is going to be some time people are going to, and I think even Biden said this, there's going to be some time people are going to need to go back. I get that, right? I'm not one of those people, though,
no,
right? And neither are you. And you know what? If you still want to wear a mask, go ahead. There's no mandate saying you can't wear a mask. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
do it. It's just up to personal. The government never had the authority to make these rules to begin with.
Yeah.
They just threw the Constitution away. And the governors also did the same thing. And some of the governors got pushback, and it didn't even matter. They still just did what they wanted anyway.
That's the biggest joke of the Biden administration. You put it perfectly to me. He's the president of no one.
Yeah, he's
the president of no one. Because when he was like, everybody got to get masks and everybody needs to be vaccinated, that whole 30-minute advertisement that he did for the vaccine companies, and then right away, the red states were like, yeah, you don't need to get vaccinated and we're lifting the mask mandates.
Right.
That's Neanderthal thinking. So when you're telling everybody to wear masks and get vaccinated, the red states don't listen to you. And then when you tell everyone it's either vaxxed or masked, the blue states don't listen to you. Literally the president of no one.
Right.
That's part of he says Israel to do a ceasefire. No ceasefire.
That's part of the beauty, I guess, of America. It's, there's a separation of federal and state. But at the same time, they're still all violating the Constitution.
Oh,
the governor of Texas still did unconstitutional rules at the very beginning. None of them, not a single one of them had the right to say, well, you know what, you have to close your business now because there's a virus. Or,
100%.
We could suspend any of your rights because of a virus. It says that nowhere in the Constitution. And that's when a term like banana fucking republic comes into mind. We're like, this is supposed to be America. We're like, where we have these rules and there's the rule of law and we follow them no matter what, regardless of ideology or political belief or whatever. It's supposed to be that rule of law
that everybody gets to.
Donald Trump broke that shit because people were so deranged by how much they hated him that they're willing to fuck the Constitution. We got to get rid of this asshole. And no matter what, now everything's just everyone's just broken from it.
That's the amazing part of this because, like I said earlier, New York is refunding, the police department. Where a year ago they couldn't wait to defund the police department.
The same police department, which, by the way, I have a bone to pick because they won't even come and help you. There was a situation over the past week in Brooklyn, I believe it was, where some mob came and says, well, it's told all these shoplifter or shop owners, you have to close your business today because it's Malcolm X's birthday. Where does it say that anywhere? In anything, right? And they forced them to close their businesses, and the police didn't show up to help these people. So I'm at the point where why do we even need you?
I don't blame the police for that because if BLM shut down those shops. If I was a cop and I got BLM is harassing, nope, I'm not ending up on the news.
Then why do we need you?
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't disagree.
Why that business is paying their taxes under there's this social contract, right?
I don't
pay
disagree.
Taxes and it funds the police, and the police are supposed to protect me and my business. And now the police cows to the mob. It's not the individual officer's fault.
We saw,
I'm sure, we asked a police officer, they probably were told not to get involved, and that's bullshit. That's bullshit. They're violating the social contract that we have with them.
What we saw was political warfare, as far as I'm concerned. Whether 2020 was planned or not, the whole defund the police, the whole peaceful protest stuff, that was all to just ruin Donald Trump's America. That's really all it was. Fine, he wasn't doing anything to help it, but these governors said, okay, we're going to pay we're going to take money away from the police. We know crime's going to skyrocket, but we're just going to turn a blind eye to it. And now de Blasio's giving money back to the police department. They knew defunding the police would turn New York into this crime-ridden hellhole. Mm-hmm. They knew it. They're not. Listen, if we knew it, they knew it. You know what I mean? All it shows is that was political warfare. You know what I mean? And now the mob still gets to run wild, all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Hasn't even been a lot of time either. And I'm thinking back to our Copcast episode where our cop friend came on here and was trying to err on the side of caution. Like, well, why don't we just like sit down and take time to like hash this out and think about what needs to be done? Instead, they did knee-jerk reactions, like you said, and changed the funding, etc. And it had negative effects. And now they're having knee-jerk reactions again in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So they just. My point here is like the politicians and by proxy the police, not the individual officers, they just do as they're told, which is not good also, but they're just knee-jerk reaction, and change this, change that, and no one's actually thinking anything through. And that's why it's coming back to me. Like the more I look into like libertarianism and anarchism, why do we need you?
Yeah.
You know, let everyone be responsible for their own defense, their own protection, and that's it. Like the state messes everything.
There's no
up.
money to be made in it. That's why.
Everything. Why do we need it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm going to be reading this book soon, The Anarchist Handbook. I'm excited.
You can't wait. Yeah.
I might be full-blown Antifa by the time I'm done.
So where else do we want to go with this?
Well, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because this is something.
So now we've talked about Fauci flip-flopping on where the COVID origins came from, and now we're getting into the COVID origins.
Yeah, so this is from the Wall Street Journal. So you can't say that we're making up fake news or we're just speculating here because I'm going to read straight from the Wall Street Journal. And they say 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology became sick enough in November of 2019 that they sought hospital care, according to a previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence report that could add weight to growing calls for a fuller probe of whether COVID-19 escaped from the lab. The details of the reporting go beyond a State Department fact sheet issued during the final days of the Trump administration, which said that several researchers at the lab, a center for the study of coronaviruses and other pathogens, became sick in autumn 2019 with symptoms consistent with both COVID-19 and other common seasonal illnesses. Okay. Think back, when did the pandemic start? In November.
Yeah, in the world, it started in November, yeah.
The first confirmed case of COVID-19 was a Chinese man, and I believe it was on December 3rd of 2019. That's the first officially documented case. These guys, or these people, I'm not sure what they are, that were working in the Wuhan Institute.
They were scientists.
3 of them went to the hospital in November, a few days, that's a few days basically before the first confirmed case of COVID in China, with COVID-like symptoms in the hospital. So now, I wasn't there, right? I don't know for certain, but let's just speculate here. Right?
Only thing we can do.
Is it not possible that these people could have been infected in the
100%.
lab by accident? Maybe they got exposed to COVID in doing gain-of-function research. They got sick. They got scared. I better go to the hospital. They go to the hospital. They infect people in the hospital. It spreads. No one really knows what COVID-19 is at this point yet, besides maybe the insiders in the lab, and it goes from there. And within a few days, infects Wuhan, gets out, and then I believe first case in America was mid-January, January 15th,
It was oddly enough the day Pelosi brought the papers of impeachment to the House. She waited specifically to that date, and I'll never give that one up.
I don't even want to rehash it. My point is that this is plausible, right?
Yes.
This article does not say that this is definitely what happened. It's just saying, look, there was 3 people that had COVID-like symptoms they worked at the lab, they were in the hospital.
Yep.
So, first of all, remember when the unfit statement was on, and he said that the Wuhan lab has the security protocols of a dentist's office? Yeah. That is an example right there.
Of course.
You mean to tell me, if you work in an Institute of Virology that does gain-of-function research on possible viruses that could cause pandemics, and you come down with an illness, there should be in the institute itself a wing reserved for quarantine, right? You'll come here and we'll take care of you here and we'll study you, we'll see what's going on. Maybe you have a common cold, but maybe you do have some crazy thing. No, they went to the hospital.
Yeah.
That right there is evidence.
Other people.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It could spread in the hospital now. Hospitals are very, they do their best, but, viruses, etc., exchange between people there.
If the lab of virology in Wuhan is as secure as a dentist's office, how secure is that hospital? How secure is the Wuhan
but it's not even the
hospital?
hospital's.
You know?
The
No, it's
that's
not the
even
hospital's job. Yeah, fine.
right.
Yeah.
We're talking about like this is like I said, a lab where they do this stuff. If any employee who works there becomes sick with anything, the last place they should go is the hospital. It should be back to the lab, into a facility within the lab that will treat them and monitor them, and then they go from there.
But shockingly, those 3 people had nothing to do with the outbreak. You know what the other crazy thing is?
It's not even saying that.
I know.
I'm saying now the American mainstream media is not saying that. They're saying. We're not saying that this is how the pandemic started, but we're also not saying this is not how it started.
I don't think they'll ever come out and say straight up like, yeah, China.
Oh, they will. They will if it
benefits.
Yes, right. I want keep going, but I'm going to give you China's response also.
Something that I found interesting that a few people have been pointing out is this pandemic started in November, December. End of November, beginning of December.
December 3rd, I believe.
And it came to America, but we didn't start stacking bodies until the lockdowns. People were getting sick. People were dying, yes. But remember how big it jumped after the lockdowns?
Yes, that's true.
It should have been balls to the wall from the second it got here through the initial. It should have.
Well, that was racist, though.
Xenophobic, yeah, right. But it should have been massive numbers. It should have been starting with a spike. If you look at it as a graph, it should have just went up and across, or just kept going up. Instead, it like started out and then inched up, and then lockdowns
exploded, right.
And then it exploded because that's when we were, arguing with our police friends and our nurse friends who were telling us to stay home because they were
at
literally.
At the beginning, I agreed. Right,
they were literally stacking bodies.
Right, I was literally hearing the reports from people at Albert Einstein Hospital in the Bronx.
They're filling up
we have
ice trucks
here.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, and we did our part in the beginning. We did our part. We stayed home. I still had to go to work because I was an essential employee. But we did our part. We had how many Zoom meetings, and we didn't see each other for months.
Yeah, but it's still odd that the numbers blew up after the lockdowns.
Right.
If
lockdowns made things worse.
If it came to America on January 1st or the 12th or whatever date is the first known person to get sick with it, if it's that viral, it should have exploded. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's lockdowns forced people into homes and into
poor ventilation,
and etc. And we talked about this, when we went to Pete's Saloon, and most people's houses are not built to combat COVID-19 on the inside, but restaurants and etc. Going and hang out outside, that's completely fine. There was that report from, I believe it was CDC, saying not one confirmed case of COVID has been transmitted outside,
and nobody wants to believe it.
I'm skeptical of that. Right, because that doesn't even make any sense. There has to be at least one. There's no such thing as absolutes.
Well, the one thing that I've learned through this is viruses don't fare well in well-ventilated areas, aka especially outside. So,
right, especially this virus, right?
Yeah.
The first actually questioning or critical thinking on the origins of the virus I heard from was an evolutionary biologist. His name is Brett Weinstein. And he was talking just about the virus in itself. And he's like, this virus is very weird. It seems like as soon as it goes outside, it dies, right? Which leads me to believe that it's never been outside before. Hasn't evolved to deal with the sun and the UV light. And it's like it has the telltale signs of being indoors for a very long time, which leads you to believe that it was in a lab being studied, never saw the sun, very rarely UV light. The only UV light it's going to get is if a human being takes a UV light and puts it on it. Right. That was from Brett Weinstein. That was the first time I ever heard of that. That's what got me to start thinking about it. But again, that was an evolutionary biologist, not some crackpot QAnon person at the same time either.
But I completely buy it was built in a lab for a gain-of-function purpose.
You're the conspiracy theorist.
That's fine.
I'm sure
you're
going to think it's Dr. Evil's bioweapon to destroy the world.
Yes.
Me, I don't know. This is all opinion now, right? This is op-ed.
Yeah.
Right? That's your opinion. My opinion is they fucked up, right? They were doing this research, and they probably shouldn't have been because it's not a great idea. And the lab has this is just my opinion.
I get it.
They have very poor security, stuff. And the guys got infected, went to the hospital, spread it. Now Dr. Fauci wants to make sure his tracks are covered. The money doesn't want to lead back to him because he doesn't want to get trouble, lose his cushy job, etc. Is it a bioweapon? Did they mean to kill everybody? No, but they still did. There should still be repercussions for all this.
That's what I was going to ask you. Whether this was an F-up at the lab and it got out because of the poor security, or it was a plandemic and this is the new boogeyman and the conspiracy theories are right. Regardless, it started and happened and most likely was built in China. What are the repercussions?
We paid for it.
Oh, I know we paid for it. That's why I feel it's too good of an opportunity to not be a bioweapon. Trump gave China such a hard time, the first president in how long to give China a hard time, a serious hard time, to where they're just like, that's it. We need to bring this country to its knees and get this guy out of office and get Beijing Joe in.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Could be that.
But
there's also could be opportunism where they, you're saying bioweapon and they did this to get back, but there could be that this just happened and they were okay. Well, now this happened. Let's spin it. Yeah. Let's spin it to our advantage. I'm
still curious to see what the repercussions should be or can be or would. You know what I mean?
You want to know what my idea of the repercussions should be? Fauci loses his job. Anyone else who's involved in
I'm talking about China's repercussions.
I'm getting to them, right? Fauci loses his job because it's not just them. It's Fauci and whoever else was involved in funding this research. This research should maybe not take place anymore. That should be a repercussion. The Chinese, everyone in charge of the lab, gone, fired immediately. There has to be new safety protocols there that takes into account we can't accidentally cause pandemics while we're trying to prevent them.
Right.
And like I said, everybody needs to lose their job. China's going to handle it their way, which we've talked about. They're not very forgiving, right? Heads will roll. But
literally,
me, an American, you just lose your job, and that's it. If you didn't do it nefariously, you should lose your job because you made a mistake. Right. They don't send you to jail. They don't cut your head off. You lose your job. Let me go into quick before we get off the rails here, just blaming people for everything. Let me give China's response to this article about the 3 people getting sick. So China has repeatedly denied the virus escaped from one of its labs. On Sunday, China's foreign ministry cited a WHO-led team's conclusion after a visit to the Wuhan Institute in February that a lab leak was extremely unlikely. The U.S. continues to hype the lab leak theory, the foreign ministry said in response to a request for comment by the Wall Street Journal. Is it actually concerned about tracing the source or trying to divert attention? That's what the Chinese are saying about us now.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, what's going on here? Seems like maybe it came out of the lab. So, of course, the Chinese are saying, no, it wasn't us. We sent the WHO in. The WHO went in there, and they did their investigation, and they didn't find anything. The WHO, which we've stated on this show multiple times, is basically controlled by them. These are all the same clique of people that work together with the Wuhan lab, right? And this, my ultimate point here, right, reminds me of Chernobyl. I think I maybe made this point before on the show. If anybody's familiar with Chernobyl, it was the power plant in the Soviet Union that had a meltdown and spewed radiation into the whole area. Very dangerous. Could have destroyed the entire planet, actually. And after investigations were done of just why this exactly happened, they were doing a test at Chernobyl, and they found out there was a design flaw in the nuclear reactor, the way that the Russians, the Soviets, built the reactors. And the guy in charge of the investigation figured this out. And he goes to tell the authorities in the Soviet Union, this is a major problem. All the other, nuclear power plants in the Soviet Union are designed this way. It's called the RBMK nuclear reactor. Like, this could happen to every single nuclear reactor in the Soviet Union. So the KGB basically threatened him, if you come out with this, we'll destroy you, we'll ruin your life, and for years, they covered that up. Eventually, the guy killed himself. I can't remember his name for the life of me. There was a good documentary on HBO called Chernobyl. Goes into all of this. He killed himself and put out the tapes, saying what exactly happened. So he killed himself, so now he can't face any retribution. Put out the tapes, and the Soviet Union was forced to fix the problem in all the reactors around the Soviet Union. Communists, especially these sorts, right, which are control everything. It's the same exact brand of communists that the Soviets were. And this is the same sort of situation.
Coming to an America near you.
Again, our opinion, you have the Wuhan lab, Chernobyl, a problem, right? Dangerous thing. very unsafe conditions. Something happened, screwed everybody up.
Yep.
Right. The Chernobyl was the radiation coming out of the out of the power plant. This is the virus coming out and killing multiple people. Many people died in both scenarios. You have the government now covering it up. No, there was nothing wrong. Everything's fine. Yeah. There was nothing wrong. Even in Chernobyl, dude, they were telling people, nothing's wrong. There's nothing wrong at all. They were telling everybody it's fine. And if you don't, one of the main things I took from this show, Chernobyl, it's like every lie we tell, we incur a debt to the truth.
Yep.
And eventually, that debt is going to come due. And if you don't tell the truth, eventually, every other RBMK nuclear reactor in the Soviet Union is going to have this issue and destroy the planet.
Yeah.
If you ignore this, another lab, or Wuhan lab again, or another lab anywhere in China, right, will have another virus by accident. And why? Because you didn't tell the truth. You didn't address the problem. You just swept it under the rug and said, don't worry about it. We got control here. That is my issue. That needs to be addressed. The COVID-19 pandemic, there cannot be a COVID 22 pandemic that happens again by accident.
That's what I said earlier. If this was all given to us straightforward and there was no cover-ups from the beginning, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Fauci wouldn't have to be flip-flopping. Fauci wouldn't literally have to be doing theater now. You know what I mean? If he knew being vaccinated you didn't need a mask, why are you talking about 2 masks? You know what I mean? Like, you knew it was theater. Because
he's a TV doctor.
You took a debt out against the truth. He's going to be one. I think he's going to be one of the. Actually,
you could even make the argument, right? His original argument as to why he lied about the mask in the first place, because he said he wanted to make sure that people in the hospitals, like the staff in the hospitals, had the masks, and that because we were trying to protect them from being overwhelmed. Well, how about if you told everyone, like, if masks really do work, and you told everyone, right? Well, start wearing masks, and that will prevent the virus from transmitting. The hospitals would have never been overwhelmed to the point where they need all these masks because they're working 24/7 and they need more help and etc. He maybe could have prevented the pandemic from exploding, that initial explosion, by initially telling everybody in those first couple of weeks, wear a mask or wear the N95 or wrap a fucking towel around your head, whatever. Do whatever you possibly can. I know. He said he told you the opposite, and you lost like 2 or 3 weeks in the beginning.
But the counter argument to that is Texas is at 0 cases with.
But this is
I know
late
it's
in the game.
beginning.
Now. This is late. I'm saying now this is late in the game. I'm talking about the very beginning.
Right. But what if the masks were the reason for the influx? You know,
I don't believe that. No one had immunity in the beginning. No one had ever been exposed to COVID-19. There was no vaccine being used back then. This was completely new.
I'll take
now,
that point.
Texas, how many people have been infected, right? How many people don't even know they've been infected, have natural immunity? All the old people either now, sadly, have passed away, or the people with comorbidities have probably passed away or beaten it, or they've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
So now there's all of this immunity built up. That's why Texas is good to go now, right? Our argument this whole time has been, well, that could have been done a while ago, but this immunity's been there. They just never wanted to let go. Now they're letting go because they're kind of getting nervous they might get in trouble over the origin story.
Yeah, well, it's going to get ripped out from us before. But, it's the whole thing you're saying. It's just if we stuck to the truth to the beginning.
Just tell the truth. Even if it's dangerous for everybody to know the truth, you should tell the truth, right? Like, it was dangerous, Chernobyl, when it was spewing radiation out to the whole area. And you tell everybody, hey, this is going to kill you. You probably shouldn't go anywhere because, like, if you're irradiated and you go touch other people, you're going to radiate them. And, like, that was dangerous. Like, that whole thing was dangerous. And they didn't tell everybody. So that made it worse.
Yeah. So we're good with this?
We got
one more topic.
One more
topic. So speaking of people trying to tell the truth seekers, our good old friend James O'Keefe at Project Veritas.
The little name of their company is Project Truth.
Yeah. We'll say what it was from the news, a bombshell report. He had an insider from Facebook come and blow the whistle on their new terms of how they censor people, whether you're vaccine hesitant or not. Which we kind of feel the reach of that a little bit because we've been having our problems with Instagram. We get followers, but things have just slowed down across the board.
Yeah. So
and we can't figure out why.
Right.
We haven't changed the formula. We're still chasing the followers, but things it's the same people every week talking to us. It's nobody new. We even get new followers.
On Instagram. Yeah. The point I was going to make here is that, like, the Instagram and the podcast are two separate things, right? This is what we're doing here is what's really the important thing. This is like our bread and butter. The Instagram is for like marketing and like just getting ideas and discussing with people, etc. That's not really important. Like, it is important, but it's not the most important
to grow
thing.
the brand, it's important.
Right. At the same time, like you said, I've been poking and prodding Instagram for research purposes almost, right? Like, yes, I want to know why is our reach down, but at the same time, I want to know, are they fucking around? What's going on here? And yes, I noticed I was posting things at different times of the day. We have a business account, so you get a lot of information on Instagram.
All the insights
and things like that you don't get if you have just a normal account. And things were down. And I've been talking to you about it. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I've tried so many different things, and it's very odd. I'm like, maybe we're shadow banned or something because we posted something or said something on Instagram that they don't like.
Sure, we said something.
And, I mean, what Project Veritas here basically came out with, well, it's not even what Project Veritas came out with. It's what a Facebook employee came out with here and saying, like, well, yeah, you're shadow banned. Everyone who says a word that is, like, critical of the vaccine or anything like that.
Share something, looks at pages.
Right, which we have done. We've been critical of this and critical of that. I don't know what we've posted. I don't remember, but we have. Because we think freely and we
question Fauci and we question the means of what everything's going on.
There's this whole program Facebook has that like classifies you, puts you in a certain like bracket, depending on like how many things you post and like how hesitant you are towards getting the vaccine, and that will limit like your viewership, your posts, the views on like not only overall. Like the views on specific posts, if you post a specific thing that's critical of the vaccine, like the AI will be able to target that and make like no one be able to see it.
It's social engineering.
Yes.
Social media has had a tremendous overreach in this part of our lives. It's here, people. The whole idea of segregation, the whole dividing and conquering, it is happening. It has been happening. There's no denying it at this point. Social media is actively dividing the American people. And if you're, one of these people who don't want to get vaccinated and you have strong feelings about being unvaccinated and you don't want it, it's going to be Nazi Germany sooner than later. It's
all right, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's fine. We've already showed that the unvaccinated people at Yankee Stadium have to pay more for tickets, and now we have proof that people who are vaccine hesitant or anti-vaccine get shadow banned and get limited, views on social media. They are actually abusing and segregating and treating unvaccinated people like second-class citizens, and if social media is already at this point and organizations like the MLB have no problem, I think maybe we might see a change with the MLB because even if I was vaccinated, I wouldn't support them. You know what I mean? So, it's great that I could get cheaper tickets, but F you guys for
scorned now.
Yeah, but like F you guys for actively trying to segregate and punish people on a choice that we all have. So it's here. It's coming. It's going to get worse. I think maybe if the MLB's bottom line gets, hit real hard, they'll change it. But Facebook, social media, they don't care. There's no bottom line to hit.
They're straight up doing social engineering, which is like, change
what they do in China.
Change people's minds, like convince people, quiet certain people, and you'll form society. You'll form the way humans think around the way you want it to be. And that's wrong. Like everyone should be able to think whatever they want and be able to have like an open discussion and question things. And like that's what science is supposed to be about, right? No one, science is all based on theory.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no God that says, there's no human God that says like, okay, this is exactly how this works. Like you could look at something and try your best to figure it out, and then you have a theory, like Einstein's theory of relativity, right? Like it makes sense when you look into it, and like that's like accepted as this is probably what's happening, but it's not written down on the commandments, like on the tablets somewhere. You know what I mean?
science that you can't question is not science.
The people that are telling you can't question it are scientists.
Yeah.
Which is very odd because they're the ones that are supposed to be questioning everything.
They're going against their entire being.
And I'm just an idiot, right? I don't know anything about like mRNA vaccines or whatnot, and I'm not claiming to know anything about them. My point is like, you cannot force me to do this, right? And I'm not telling, John on the corner there, don't go get the vaccine. No. I'm telling John on the corner, look, you want to go get it? Go. Please do not tell me what to do or do not lock me out of the society. Yes. And if you don't say that, like if you don't have that opinion and share that opinion with other people, people are probably going to give in to social engineering, give into the pressure of like,
yes, because they don't want to be singled out. So the person I mentioned earlier that I'm always arguing with over being vaccinated versus unvaccinated is they'll tell me, oh, put your mask on. I don't want to get sick. But you're vaccinated. Oh, I know, but I could still get sick. Then why did you get? I'm not.
You're not sick, like
right?
You're not actually sick, like at all.
The problem here is on this specific show. We can't speak for everyone. We're not telling you to not get vaccinated. What we're really asking you to do, think for yourself. Yeah. Like it's not like this isn't rocket science. Just think for your. And I kind of feel like most of our fan base does think for themselves, but social media,
we're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, but social media stops us from telling anyone else,
or our ideas being shared to new people.
Yes, and that's all. We would love to have people of opposing views come on. We would love to have people of opposing views comment our stuff and challenge us, but because of this,
they don't even do are bots.
Yeah, we either get dealt with bots, or the people who would want to challenge us don't even get to see this. Yet alone trying to get someone of a different viewpoint to come on.
They won't do it.
They can't handle the pressure. I don't know what the problem is, but here it is in black and white. Facebook engineering, so nobody could hear a new idea.
Dude, there's literally here. I have it here. I suggest everyone in Doom Nation go to projectveritas.com and you can look it up here. They have it here. Vaccine hesitancy policy tiers. And like the first tier is if you say some completely made up shit about the vaccine, they'll just remove it at scale. The second tier is like explicit vaccine discouragement. If you discourage people to not, to get the vaccine, they'll remove on like if it's escalated. It's literally here. It's like broken down. Yeah. They have the actual files from Facebook that was like taken by the employee. They have it here on the website. And the best part about this is Project Veritas reached out to Facebook. Like, here, we have all this, your documents here, your employee here. The guy was anonymous. Two guys, actually, two people. They were completely anonymous. And they're like, do you want any comment? They're like, oh, yeah, we told everybody about this, Facebook. They're like, this is, like, this public knowledge, this policy. So Project Veritas goes through Facebook's guidelines. It's not there.
Nice.
It's not anywhere.
Nice.
There was nothing.
I didn't know that.
There's nothing. Yeah. That details this level of manipulation based on the vaccine.
Yeah, and now to be the evil free thinker that I am, why is it so important for Facebook to make sure it's millions of users globally? Because if you listen to it, they bought this up in every language they could get their hands on. So everyone on the planet who uses Facebook can be scrutinized by this. This isn't even, China socially engineers China.
Right.
Facebook, a company in Silicon Valley, is socially engineering the world.
Right.
Not just, and this is a global scale.
Let's think of it in terms of also, you could say Facebook, this is still America at the end of the day, right? And there's still me's and you's, and there's still always people are going to be skeptical and push back.
Yes.
Because that's kind of like a part of American culture. But go to like another random small poor country that's very like uneducated, and here comes Facebook, big words, a lot of money, and they push they push like this and this and this on the population there. Maybe it's not part of their culture to like question, but they can.
It's way easier to manipulate.
Right, exactly.
But so back to my critical thinking that I'm so evil with. How am I to trust getting the vaccine more now, knowing that Facebook is socially engineering the world to punish people who are anti-vaxxers. Why is one company punishing people globally if you don't like the vaccine? What is so important that this vaccine needs to be pushed that we are going to engineer society? We're going to have the president do 30-minute advertisements on it. We literally having Hillary Clinton literally tweeted, "You want your life back? Get yourself vaccinated."
Have yours to take, bitch.
Yeah, you know what? This is why I create pushback. If there was no story about this, if there was no you get your life back or not, if there was no advertisements, this is the first pandemic in the history of the universe that needed a PR campaign, has a marketing scheme to it.
Well, you know what's crazy? A lot of our tax money is funding the the PR, like the marketing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even joking. Like a lot of they're using tax money to fund the marketing for it.
Yeah.
So we're like me and you, our tax dollars are being used to try and sell me and you the vaccine.
Yes, we've already paid for it
for the ad campaign for myself.
Yes,
for something I don't want.
Look, like I know you don't like going down the nefarious path, but like.
I'm not saying I don't like going down it. I just, sorry.
You just don't like accusing people as quickly as I do.
Yes, right.
But yeah, I'll be the judge, jury, and executioner here. This feels very nefarious to me. This feels very wrong to me that this company that has all of my information, knows all the people who I know, knows all the places I go, knows all the pages and things that I like to look at, my personal interest, the amount of data that they have collected, are now going to punish me or punish person A and B based on whether they like to be vaccinated or not. That is so wrong. It makes me question, it makes me more vaccine hesitant. Yeah, you're not helping your own cause.
If they didn't do all of this stuff, if Fauci didn't flip-flop 1,000 times and from the beginning, and if they didn't have all this very... Yeah, shady stuff going on, right? I guarantee you most of the I would probably be way more willing to get vaccinated. And if there were just way more, I mean, maybe not, right? Because like I've said a million times, I don't buy the first Xbox when the new model comes out at the same time, right? I don't get things that are new right away because there's always something wrong with them. But you've given like QAnon people bullets in their chamber. Why? Why did you do that? Those people are idiots, in my opinion, right? Don't give them the bullets in the chamber. Yeah. Just tell the truth, and people will listen to you. But you don't tell the truth. You lie, and then you get caught. And they say, "Oh no, I wasn't lying," or "No, I was." What did Fauci say? Before I was,
I didn't want to misguide people.
I didn't want to misguide people. I didn't want to send mixed messages.
Yeah.
You're not sending us mixed messages. Say, hey, look, you don't have to wear the mask anymore because it's not necessary. That's not a fucking mixed message.
Because it comes down to the simplest meme. It was never about your health. It was always about control. This is straight up control. This is control. It is getting to the point where the unvaccinated population, we're either going to be forced, exterminated. So, I mean, it's going to get, we've said it's going to get out of control. This is getting out of control.
And you want to, this is a good point to bring up. I'm going to give props to the Libertarian National Party. Finally grew a set of balls.
Yeah, what did they do?
They tweeted the other day, the pandemic was a trial run.
Oh, yeah.
This is the National Libertarian Party, who was, invisible.
Yeah.
Invisible during the Liberty Party was invisible during the pandemic. They finally grew a pair and said the pandemic was a trial run.
Oh, 100%.
If you're going to really, like I've said it a million times now, if we're going to fight back against this stuff, we got to change the people in charge.
Yeah.
Right? And we need to start, the beliefs need to be more aligned with libertarianism, which way more people believe in. They just don't know they have that sort of thing. So we need the Libertarian Party, in my opinion, to step up and start actually doing stuff and making noise and rattle the cages, whatever.
Yeah, I had a pretty good conversation with somebody last week, and he was conservative, but he hated everything Trump did. He bought right into everything CNN said. Fox is bad, which is fine. Fox has its problems. CNN has its problems. But
is he conservative or a liberal person?
He was conservative, who, after the 4 years of Trump derangement syndrome, has really changed his views and stuff. But his still core values was moderation. You know what I mean? He said the way he describes himself is he's to the right of moderate. You know what I mean? So in a sense, that's the conservative side, but he's to the right of moderate. And at least finally for somebody who voted for Joe Biden, he's like, Joe Biden's dropping the ball. He hasn't done anything for us yet. And people need to recognize that sooner than later. He's like, the biggest mistake of the 2020 election is that we didn't see the up and coming of an independent. And he goes, the only way we're going to get out of this, he doesn't believe the bullshit from the media that they're all propaganda, whatever. He feels that if we don't see an independent rise up in 2022 and 2024, we're riding this ship to the end until the last person, jumps off. It's going to go down in flames because it's too far on the extremes. The AOCs and the squad loved their extremes. Trump loved his extremes. Everyone, Chuck Schumer's always going to be on the extreme.
He's a sellout.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they're talking heads and they're all sellouts, So, somebody like Jim Jordan's going to come at you from the extreme right. There is zero moderation, no matter what Joe Biden said in his, inauguration speech. We need some form of an independent to rise up. And if they don't, we are way screwed.
Yeah.
The way to throw this, sorry to interrupt you, the way to throw all this extremists off is if in 2022, a bunch of libertarians or a bunch of independents get sent into the House and the Senate and shake things up. Because now the party lines get screwed.
Yes, I agree.
So
and it's possible, right? That could happen. But that's going to take a lot of things to go right.
Yeah.
And it's going to take the Libertarian Party to, message things the right way, like Dave Smith has said, and, say what they believe in. It's going to take them, running good people in the right places where they could possibly win. And then it's going to be a little bit on people themselves, just normal people.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with the state of the country and the state of, division and the media lying to you about everything, and you hate Fox News and you hate CNN. Well, you have to do some research.
Yeah.
And I everyone who's listening to our show probably does, right? Or, is listening to us for a reason.
Yeah.
So, you have to take some personal responsibility. And if you don't like things, you need to be involved and you need to, actually do something to change it. Even if that's just showing up on election day and, looking into who am I even voting for?
Yeah.
What do they, represent?
Yep.
What is there a third party candidate? What are they about? You have to actually do something. You can't just be like, people want change, but they want change the same way that the vaccine is promising change. Oh, I'll just take a shot and everything will go back to normal. They don't want to take care of the health.
They're playing pretend.
They don't want to
pretend.
exercise.
Yeah.
They don't want to eat. The same thing goes for the political health of our country. They just, Trump will come back in 4 years and fix everything. No, that will make things probably even worse. Put some personal investment into everything and do some research and figure things the fuck out.
Yeah, I go back to the person I argue with the vaccine. All I'm asking you to do is think for yourself. It can't just get magically done.
Right.
How many? Everybody here works or used to work or whatever, but how many people have ever worked a job where leaving the problem alone fixed the problem?
Yeah.
What problem on the face of the planet has that ever?
Or the quick fix.
Yeah.
Doesn't fix it most of the time.
It's
going to be hard. It's going to be hard to fix all these problems we have.
And it's going to take the people, to do some type of new age, new research.
And I'm not talking about digging up fucking rocks and moving them. I'm talking about looking at things, reading, the news,
seeing your other opportunities.
Right.
That's why CNN in the ratings has been doing so bad.
Oh yeah,
and OAN or One News Network.
You know who's doing great? Podcasts are doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
Through the roof everywhere around.
Except for the ones that are shadow banned on Facebook and Instagram.
But the podcasts themselves are doing good because people are leaving the mainstream.
Yeah. And the same thing with cable because everybody goes over to Netflix and stuff, and there's no advertisement in there, which is a good thing at this point because there's probably way less propaganda. But you need to figure out your other options, and you can't just if you tune in to just CNN every day, or you just tune in to Fox every day, and then you don't like what someone says, and then that person says, all right, well, check out OAN News on YouTube or something. Oh, no, that's fake news.
Why?
Oh, you just...
Says who? CNN or
Fox? You just discredited a new source of information because you don't want... None other than simply you don't want to do the research. You know what I mean? That's all. You're only telling me it's fake news
laziness.
because you're lazy. Yeah. because I've argued with people, and they're like, "Well, where do you get your sources from?" And I've shown them different places, and they're like, "Well, I never seen that paper before." Good.
Right, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Like I've brought up Project Veritas to people, and they're like, "No, that's all fake." It is not
Not
fake.
at all.
This guy has won close to 400 defamation lawsuits. He is telling the truth. I can't wait to see who sues him, who is dumb enough to write an article over this Facebook
You know who James
so he
O'Keefe
could sue
is,
them.
bro? James O'Keefe is basically like the Eminem of like journalism.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like he goes at you, don't say anything about him.
Yeah.
You come back at him, he's gonna come back with an even
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
Like worse bars coming back at you.
Because I always try and tell people about Project. Well, what about this? You like CNN so much. Project Veritas just exposed CNN for admitting its director, it's whatever the system director, whatever the hell that guy was, admitted to propaganda, admitted to only caring about Trump getting out of office, admitted to climate change is going to be the next scare. You're trying to tell me that this is BS, but you're following CNN. You're lazy. You're lazy.
You want to? I really like Project Veritas, right? And I do have one criticism of them.
I'm only using them as an example for right now.
Something I've been thinking about lately, because there's a lot of good publicity, at least in our circles, about Project Veritas. And like the one criticism I have of them is that everything does seem to be like targeted at liberals and left wing and etc. And that's fine, because the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And if like Democrats, which they are very corrupt, a lot of them are doing the wrong thing and etc. Like that's good to point out regardless, right? But I mean, maybe I have missed them, I don't know, but I have not really seen
some Republican type thing
action by them and you know what? Maybe they just don't do it because maybe they are a little bit conservative. I don't know. Right. I'm just making shit up. I don't know. But like the way I look at it is, well, without a doubt, there's Republicans doing shady shit, and without a doubt. And I'd like to see those stories too. And I'm I'm not even going to tell Project Veritas what to do because they could do whatever they want. And pointing out corruption in any form is great. That is my one criticism. Like I'd like you guys to maybe point out some Republican criticism as well. Like corruption and things. Yeah.
I mean, my few rebuttals to that, I completely agree. As far as I've known, or as far as in my X number of months, I guess maybe a year now that I've been following Project Veritas since Bernie Sanders was still in the primary race for the 2020 election when I first came upon Project Veritas. You're right. I haven't seen any big name Republican organizations or anything. I wouldn't be mad if they did it. I agree with you. It's weird that it's only one-sided. They've talked to a few campaign people. They had the thing about Bernie Sanders and stuff, but I haven't seen them go after any political figures big time. My thing for what the corruption they're exposing, so many of these major corporations that are corrupt are liberal corporations. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to, don't get me wrong. I'm sure, I'm sure there's corruption in the NRA that they could blow the whistle on. And if someone came forward, I'm sure Project Veritas would take that story. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are stone cold biased. I don't know.
It could also be a thing of like, well, you know what? Like, we're the only people that are fighting against this like huge corruption of like the liberals.
Yeah.
So like, we don't have time.
We're
the only ones, right? Yeah. Like we're the, we're backs against the wall. We don't have time to shoot
they're the 300
at the other side. Yeah. I don't know.
Also, you got to think like, I don't work there, so maybe they are knocking out these Republican side stories, but the whistleblowers come to them.
That is true.
So the whistleblower from CNN, the whistleblower from Bernie's campaign, the whistleblower from Twitter, the whistleblower from Facebook, all came to them from those companies. It just so happens that those companies obviously lean way to the left.
At the same time, there is just in general a lot more companies, media, like majority of them are left. Like, what is there, Fox? That's it. Right? And, corporations, they're all woke. They're all leaning left.
It's easier right now
There's not many like things that are Republican or conservative. Yeah,
right now,
besides the politicians themselves.
If we were the CEOs of a big company, if we had doomed soda or doomed beer, whatever, and we were as big as Anheuser-Busch or we were as big as Pepsi, whether I vote one way or you vote one way, it's way easier for in the year 2021 to be woke AF and show the world how woke doomed beer is.
Yeah, that's the easy way out, yeah.
And when you're a corporation making millions and billions and your paycheck is through the roof, oh yeah, please change the Facebook page to the rainbow flag. Please, yeah, we'll fly a BLM flag. No, it's so much easier to become a left-wing organization, because any of these right-wing organizations, anytime you do anything, they just come hammering down on the media is going to tear you apart.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're seeing more of it this way.
Yeah, it's just laziness.
Yeah,
it's laziness. No one stays by like their ideals or even does the right thing. They just whatever. I gotta make money. Money's the most important thing.
Yep.
Whatever anything threatens my bottom line. That's
and
I gotta worry about that, and that's why it's got to go the other way too.
Yeah.
You got to threaten the Yankees. They fucked us over with this game. All right, well, you know what? I used to go to a lot of games. Dozens over the years. Well, you know what? This season, I'm not going to go to any games now because you fucked me over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And someone told me, don't take it out on your favorite team. I'm not taking it out on Aaron Judge.
No.
Aaron Judge and, DJ LeMahieu had nothing to do with me not being able to go to the game. I still like the Yankees.
Yeah, you're taking it out on the bottom line.
The organization and the bottom line. And it's not even really 100% their fault. Like, it's Cuomo's fault for enforcing the rules on them. But, they fucked up here. So I'm going to take it on you, and I'm not going to give you one dime. Even if I get free tickets, I'm not going to go, right? Because I'm going to have to go there and, like, buy a beer or spend money, and nothing's free.
It's so a few months ago when Coca-Cola came out and they had they had that meeting with all their employees on how to be less white and, how to be more submissive as a white man and all this stuff. Meanwhile, their CEO and all the board members are old white men anyway. They took such flack for that. They've completely cut it out of their curriculum because I can promise you people stopped buying Coca-Cola products. Yeah. And that's the whole fun thing about being woke. These companies could be as woke as they want, but I'm telling you, the second they start losing pennies, that woke shit is over.
Yeah, they say get woke, go broke.
Yeah. I could already see it with the whole new Marvel universe. The whole next coming of all the new Avengers. Oh, this one's Muslim. This one's trans. I don't look. They can be whatever religion.
Have to be good.
Yes, but if the whole story is about me, I'm a gay woman. Blah, blah, like if that's your whole story, trust me, people are gonna stop watching. You're gonna start losing money, and you're gonna drop that shit real quick.
Right. And you know what? And the story can even be about like, look, I'm a gay person, but it has to be making sense into the storyline or whatever. You can't like I think we've said in the Wonder Woman.
You can't be the hero just because you're a woman. Like you gotta be a badass woman.
This is very like near and dear to me and you's hearts. When you're watching the MCU or Marvel, whatever, I can't be reminded over what problems we're facing in the real world right now. Because now I realize, oh wait, I'm not watching a movie anymore. I'm watching some writers, like political opinion or virtue signaling thing, and this is not a movie anymore. This is some sort of propaganda
political piece,
right? But that movie could be about like a trans hero, and there's some sort of thing that happens to them. It gives them powers, and now they have to fight some evil guy who hates trans people. That would make sense. But no, now it's like it's like Iron Man, like the scene in the Avengers where all the women just magically in this huge battle teamed up and were like, yeah, girl power. That does not make sense. That's just your horseshoeing shit in there to virtue signal. And now I realize, oh, wait, look, you did this because you're virtue signaling.
Yep.
And now I've been removed from me being in the, in the battle. I'm now really like, oh, yeah, the problems we face in real life.
At this point, the things we face in real life, I'm Thanos, Ultron, Dark Side, please fucking come and wipe this planet out.
There was a funny meme. It was of Sam Wilson, and he was like Thanos. He's like, you could just snap your fingers and double the resources. He's like, you got to do better, man. He's giving the same speech that he was giving to the politicians to Thanos. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that's great. So speaking of doing better, are we good?
I'm good.
I'm good too. Speaking of doing better, Doom Nation, we need the subscriptions, we need the likes, we need the reviews, comments. share us, everything. We want to interact with you people. We just sat here and spoke about how we are being shadow banned because, we're free thinkers. Get our name out there. You help us as much as we help you. We give you, your entertainment and different ways of thinking. You guys got to give us those subscriptions.
Yeah, let me shout out a fan of ours, Casey Baker.
Yes.
Good guy. He's always, interacting, talking to me about stuff, commenting on things. That's great. Thanks, bro.
Yes. Everybody needs to be like a Casey Baker. So thank you guys for joining the Two Doom Men podcast once again. As always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You can find us everywhere Trump is banned. Our Instagram is at @2DoomMen_podcast. Click the link tree in our bio to find all of our social media. And you can listen to us where all major podcasts are heard, like Apple Podcasts. And make sure you leave the 5-star reviews on there, too. Those reviews likes are just as important. Yeah. So thank you, guys.
Yeah. See you later. Get out of here just in time. There's a bug in my water.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, adios.
Later.